Smiling Friends. Now, I'd heard some buzz about Smiling Friends, and you can watch it on Adult Swim's site. I guess if you have the right login, or it's free, I'm not sure. But you can watch Smiling Friends there. It premiered during Adult Swim's April Fool's thing, very late. Now, it's done by two internet animators, so I don't really know much about. One is called Psycho Pebbles or something. I don't know. That's created by two people, Michael Sisak and Zach Handel, who also has another show that's going to be happening with Adult Swim called YOLO Crystal Fantasy. Psychic Pebbles, sorry. I don't really know their work. I might have seen it a couple of times, but I don't really know it. But I will say I can talk about the pilot itself, and I actually really enjoy it. It's kind of, very Adult Swim-ish in a lot of ways. It sort of reminds me, character design-wise, although these animators have followings, and their style, it feels very at home with Adult Swim. I saw that one of the voices is that one guy from Red Letter Media. One thing I really liked about this is it's very dark, it's very weird, and it's very, I would say, kind of like interesting, because it's very much like a sitcom-y sort of thing, but has this like tinge of strange absurdity to the whole world, which works within the whole Adult Swim thing. It has this kind of like darkness to it, but in this kind of light kind of way, because it's called Smiling Friends, about two people whose job it is to go cheer people up, basically. And the whole idea of it is that they go to cheer someone up, and he has a gun to his head the whole time. He's going to shoot himself, and they're like really freaked out, and they have to like kind of cheer him up, basically. And they don't do a great job of it, but it's actually kind of funny. It sort of reminds me a bit of like early Aqua Teen, kind of Squidbilly Z, kind of that era. It reminds me a lot of that kind of stuff, but I will say it's like kind of note to like having this theme park. I think it's like for Dave, and you don't really know who Dave is, but he has the theme park, and that's why you should care about him, is a really bizarre kind of sort of concept, but I sort of like that, because its humor goes from like kind of this weird, absurd kind of Adult Swim typical sort of thing. It still has these kind of like nicer, just quietly nice, absurd moments that like it kind of does both. Like one character's like looking for his cheese the whole time. Like it's kind of strange and weird, but in a very accessible way, which I think actually shows a lot of potential for it, because you can be strange and weird and just be like, off in your own weird dimension, which I guess is 12 Ounce Mouse. In Smiling Friends, I could feel like you could follow this and understand what's going on and see the kind of dark weirdness, because this show gets like extremely existential, extremely sad and things like that, and extremely weird, but at the same time like you totally understand what's going on in every scene while also seeing these other layers to it, which I think is actually sort of a harder thing to do, and it doesn't necessarily do it in a mainstream way, which I think a lot of animated shows try to do. This felt like a nice, this feels like a show will get people more into other Adult Swim shows. It doesn't feel like most Adult Swim shows that are breakouts, which kind of like are hugely successful and then like nobody watches the other ones. So this kind of is a show that I feel like could get people more into that style. Like it's surreal in a way that I think, Lynch doesn't really want you in there, but it felt like Smiling Friends want you to get into surrealism. And I think that's actually a positive, honestly, for surrealism in the long term. And I think it shows the potential of a show like Smiling Friends and these creators, that they're able to find like a good even medium for that. It would probably play really well after Rick and Morty and could be a breakout hit for them. I really do mean that, because it's like kind of weird and gross and strange, but it's also like you can totally follow along, which I think is in a fun way, which certainly reminds me of like the early Adult Swim stuff as well. So I actually really like Smiling Friends. I would definitely see it again whenever it premieres. I don't know when that is. Maybe I should check out the Psychic Pebbles at some point. So anyway, that's sort of what I thought of Smiling Friends. I think it was pretty cool, to be honest with you, from the 15-minute little pilot that this was.